I'm originally from Banja Luka, which is a pretty big city in Bosnia. I lived in the same city as most of my extended family, so on Sundays we would have these big events with large, delicious meals and loud conversation. And we lived by a river. In the city there was a big river, Vrbas, that was running right through the center of the city. So we would have a lot of picnics there and just a lot of family events. My dad had built a house, a gorgeous three-story house where we lived with two really big long balconies and a really nice backyard with apple trees. So the war broke out in 1992. There was no electricity for weeks on end sometimes. Food was really scarce. School would be out for weeks or months at a time. But most of all, I just remember being really discriminated against because of how the war was structured and how people were categorized. My family and I were really marginalized and threatened, and we were feeling unsafe and felt that we needed to leave. We escaped to a transitional camp, and what that was is it was just a really large tent with 200 to 300 beds. And kind of a big generator that was running all the time. But it was in the middle of the winter, and I remember it being really cold, and we would sleep in jackets and shoes. And I remember there were rats running around, and the bathrooms were unsanitary, and the meals were not very regular. So that was probably the most difficult time that I'd experienced. We were sent to a camp in Croatia, which was a more permanent camp. And that camp was in a stable building with heat and running water. And regular meals. We even had meat sometimes, so that was good. I remember, I think Sunday was chicken day, so that was always exciting. During that time, we applied to come to the US. Unfortunately, we were approved, and early in 1996, in January, we found out that we were gonna go. I really did not want to leave. I had all my friends there, I had my school, we had little events that were really fun for us, and I didn't want to go to this country I knew nothing about or didn't speak the language, and I'd never heard of Minnesota, so it was terrifying. But I got on the plane, and we arrived to Minnesota on Valentine's Day in '96, which was a record-breaking winter in terms of how cold it was. For me personally, those first few months were really hard. Being a 13-year-old at the time and not speaking a word of the language, it was difficult to say the least. I had a really wonderful teacher, an English second language teacher, who really encouraged me to apply to college. I didn't think I could afford it, but she also told me about the scholarship that was available. There were really tough days. I struggled with the content in college. Writing was difficult. English was still really limited for me. But dropping out wasn't an option. Since then, I've been really involved with the nonprofit sector in Minnesota. Currently, I'm working for the American Red Cross, and I'm really fortunate to be able to contribute to the work of an organization that does such amazing work, both internationally and here in Minnesota in our communities. It's an organization that helped my family when we were in refugee camps, so I'm really happy that I'm able to contribute. I now have an 8-month-old daughter, and I'm teaching her how to speak Bosnian. My husband is also learning to speak Bosnian, and we're hoping to take a family trip to Bosnia. I feel like because of my experiences, I have sort of a unique skill set, and I can really understand where troubled families or individuals are coming from or what they're dealing with. I can really relate to what it's like to have that uncertainty and just that fear of not knowing what is happening or where you'll get your next meal from. And I feel that that passion makes me better at what I do. At least that's my hope.